Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success. Welcome, everyone, to our new episode. We are thrilled to have an amazing coach here today. Her name is Elizabeth Kipp. Her company is Elizabeth Kipp Stress Management. And so we're going to learn a little bit about stress management and addiction recovery today. So welcome, Elizabeth. We're thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Jeanne. I'm so grateful to be here.
Absolutely. Great. So first thing I want to ask you is tell us how and why you became a stress management coach. Because I know there's usually a journey that precedes coming into a coaching type like this.
Yes, I suffered with chronic pain for 40 years. Chronic pain being any pain that's any pain, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, any pain that's felt 15 days out of 30 for 3 months or more is chronic. The brain can't tell the difference between a broken bone and a broken heart. Any of those things creates a different as opposed to acute pain. The acute pain being we have some kind of stress in the environment. Our stress response goes into the on position. We have a physiological, biological, behavioral reaction to whatever that stress is. We deal with it. And then the stress response goes back into the off position. In chronic pain, the stress response stays in the on position, gets stuck there, right? It's very stressful for the body. We're not made for that. It tends to be quite toxic. That's what chronic stress is the stress response stuck in the on position, which is also chronic pain. I suffered with that for 40 years. Doctors at the time, nobody knew what to do about it, how to heal it. They just assumed I'd have it my whole life, for the rest of my life, which I pushed back on. I was like, yeah, I think you're telling me more about the limitation of the model you're working with than you're telling me about the body's ability to heal. So anyway, I finally found a doctor who understood the nature of chronic pain. He helped me, he guided me into a healing space. I went into his program with 40 years of chronic pain, and 52 days later, I walked out with no pain.
Wow.
And he had a 94% success rate in that program, so it wasn't like I was so special. Because I ran into so many people, I've actually sat in front of thousands of chronic pain sufferers over the years, over all those years, whether it was in rehab centers or physical therapy or hospitals or doctors' offices. And we all were having the same experience. You can't heal from chronic pain. And I was like, yeah, when I get out of here, I'm going to teach what I learned. And while I was in that program, I was also the doctors gave me, I took them, but they prescribed opiates and benzodiazepines, which is an anti-anxiety medicine. They prescribed those for me. And part of me going into that program was detoxing off of those. And my counselor said to me, what I learned is that in the frequency of addiction and that addiction that we get in, whether it's drugs, alcohol, shopping, relationships, whatever it is, when you go into treatment, there's an 80% relapse rate in the first year. Oh. And I was like, wow, I'm doomed. That was the first thing I thought. And the second thing I thought was, what's wrong with this model that we're using to help people, to treat people for addiction? And so I vowed in that moment that once I got my sea legs in my own life, grounding in my own recovery, that I would do what I could to change the trajectory of that needle on the relapse rate. And so that's how I became a recovery coach. But I also do stress management generally. I have a real basket of different kinds of clients, people that suffer from chronic pain, people that have been on benzodiazepines or opiates and are trying to find their sea legs and their recovery off of it. I work with them. And I do ancestral clearing. So people that had intergenerational trauma that they're trying to clear, the imprints from unresolved intergenerational trauma land in us. And so I have lots and lots of clients that just want me for that. They don't care. They don't have an addiction problem. They really don't have chronic pain, but they've got this, I don't know where this came from, but it's in my system and I want to release it. And that's what I do that.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it seems crazy that I know the opiates help people get off of different addictions, but then you become addicted to that. So, I know you're trading non-pain for non-pain, but it just seems like it's going down the wrong path.
Well, yes, opiates are very helpful for, say, I had a 4 millimeter kidney stone a while back, and that will spike some pain. And I was on my knees and I went to the emergency room and they gave me a shot of Dilaudid. That's an opiate. But
Hmm.
that's the only shot I needed. We were able to, that thing moved and I just had to drink a lot of water for a few months. And anyway, that's a
Hmm.
very high experience. An automobile accident or you break a bone or something like that, that immediate first period where the body's so stressed it can't relax, that's useful. That's where opiates are helpful. But there's no research out there that says that opiates heal chronic pain. Chronic pain changes the way the brain perceives pain, and it affects the limbic system, our emotional part. It makes us more negative. We get brain fog. We get very hypervigilant, right? That stress response in the on position. Opiates don't heal that. They might numb our they kind of change. They didn't really know it for me, but they will change the pain experience and it'll also affect the emotions. You numb your pain, you numb your joy too. So anyway, that's a problem with opiates. But here's what else happens with opiates. They depress your ability to breathe. So now you're not getting in air, you're not getting in oxygen, life force into the body, and you're also not able to release toxins that are in the lung, right? And 70% of the waste in the human body comes out the breath. So now we're not nourishing and releasing properly because we've got a depressed nervous system. And opiates also paralyze the digestive tract so that we can't digest our food properly. Now we're not getting nourishment that way. And it dehydrates us. So now we're not getting enough water in the body. And those are just three, and there's a bunch. Those are just three things. Why would you want to take something like that long term?
Yeah.
It doesn't heal the changes in the brain that are caused by chronic pain. It doesn't help with the confusion in the mind. It just adds to it. It doesn't help with the emotional component. It just numbs that experience, actually makes it worse. And how are you supposed to? It doesn't make any sense. The work that Dr. Peter Prescott, who wrote this book, he was the guy that took me through treatment, Conquer Chronic Pain, an innovative mind body approach. Dr. Peter Prescott, the methods he used actually helped clear the effects in the brain, the changes the brain. It helped normalize the brain back into a normal state.
Wow. Yeah. It all affects each other, doesn't it? Because your body is talking to your brain is talking to your body. And I know I've learned so much over the last few years about the breath and how important that is. So I can't imagine stifling that when, in order to relax everything and to get back to center, you need to be embracing that breath and breathing in. Wow. So tell me a little bit without giving us everything. How do you work with your clients?
Well, the first thing I do is I assess the state of their nervous system. Usually they're pretty activated by the time they get to me. So I start with the breath because they're coming to me because they're feeling a victim to their circumstance, whatever that is, whatever their experience is, they're having difficulty dealing with it. So they're in this, maybe victim might be a little bit of a strong word, but they're at its mercy. But so many of us haven't been trained on the power of the breath. So the first thing I do is I assess their nervous system. Usually they're agitated. So I take them through 3 minutes of a calming breath, long enough for the nervous system to get the signal to calm down. And then they think they're safe. And now we can have a conversation and connect. If we're all agitated and a nervous system's literally running from a tiger, you can't talk to somebody like that. They're not thinking. They're running or they're fighting or they're shutting down. So get the nervous system working in our favor. So we've done two things. We've calmed them down. They feel safe. And we've taken them from a victim of my circumstance or I'm at its mercy to, oh my God, I have power to
Yes.
change my state.
Yes. Love that.
So in 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes from beginning to then, they get a sense of, oh, and I have some power. So now we have somebody who's actually ready to listen and in a state where they can receive and ask questions and feeling safe with me. They're feeling safe in their body. They're feeling safe in the environment. And now we can have a productive conversation. So that's how I start.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So, do you work with people who have ADHD or weight gain, which is usually a symptom or like a tangible view of what's actually happening in the brain and the body?
Sure. I'll be very clear here. I'm not a therapist or a doctor.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a coach. So I'm really good at helping someone who's in therapy or working with a doctor in a program. I'm a fabulous coach in that space because I can help them with the day to day. This is how we're living life. This is how we change. This is what we do to get the nervous system more resilient. And really, we want to be working with building resilience in the nervous system, feeling a connection to ourselves, being able to connect to others, that feeling of safety, maybe encouraging a sense of play, which is a super safe place to be. And I also bring in the ancestral clearing. After I do the breath work, I bring in the ancestral clearing to help them release whatever's present in the present moment that they're carrying from the past that's blocking their ability to move forward. I don't know if that answers your question.
It certainly did. It certainly did. I love that you call yourself a recovery coach in the ancestral clearing. That's fascinating to me because I do believe that. I do believe we're carrying around things that weren't ours.
You asked about ADHD and
That's
you asked
right.
about weight gain, and those are symptoms.
Hmm.
Those are symptoms of I never know who's going to have what when they come to me. And that's okay because the principles are the same. Let's get what's happening with the nervous system. Can we find a sense of safety and can we build some resilience in the nervous system so no matter what life brings to you or how you're experiencing life, you feel like you have some agency and you have some choices and you can actually change your state. Yes, I'm going to get activated. Stuff happens. But when I get activated now in life, I'm down much faster because I have the tools and I have this resilience in my system. So it really doesn't matter what um, I wouldn't deal with, I wouldn't deal with somebody who has like schizophrenia or that would be above really outside of my area. But anybody that's in recovery and addiction recovery and is ready to have a coach, if I can't handle, I'll send them to somebody who can, that kind of thing. If I feel like they need a doctor or a therapist, I'll point them in that direction. Or sometimes another coach. I have like for recovery from sex addiction, that's really not my area, but I know other coaches who are. So
Yeah.
what's the thing? Although all addiction has this thing around trauma, unresolved trauma and chronic pain and trying to get the nervous system back into balance.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that. Resilience. I love that. That's so important in life, in business, in anything and I think people who suffer from chronic pain, if it's been a long time like you did, I can only imagine that you just feel like that's the norm. That's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, that's one of the things that even after 10 years, I still spend 10 years in recovery and I still have when I get activated, triggered, people call it triggered. I prefer to say activated because it's a little more accurate. Something happens. I tend to revert to that but that didn't have my old behavior was like, that didn't happen. Just keep moving forward. Mine was denial. Like it's that bad. Keep moving. So
Hmm.
it's pushing through life. That's hard on the nervous system because when am I going to rest? And if I'm like always looking for the threat, when am I resting?
Yeah.
But the nervous system gets in a pattern. This is how we do life. Oh, we do life hypervigilantly, and we do life. We're always worried. Also, when stuff happens, it can't be that bad. I'm just going to push forward. So there's no space in there to rest, but the nervous system has a habit. That's how we do life. So the work, and this is really common in chronic pain, that everybody has this thing. All of us have this. The work is to rewire the nervous system out of that tendency into this calmer. This is why meditation is so important. Stillness, quiet, that kind of stuff. So we rewire all that stuff. And even after 10 years and some, I still can fall back into that old patterning, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen very often, and it doesn't happen for very long.
Yeah.
I'm also aware of it. I don't get caught in it. So
Right. Yeah. And it almost made me think of like a rubber band, just keep being stretched and stretched and get thinner and thinner. And yeah, at some
it
point
also loses when you do that with a rubber band. I love that you brought that in. When you do that with a rubber band, you know what also happens to the rubber band? It loses its flexibility, right? Which is exactly what happens to us. We get rigid. So when I work with somebody in recovery, and one of my own coaches asked me this years ago, and I was like, oh, I love that question. Where is it happening in my recovery? He said in addiction, addictive behavior, which is all this hypervigilance stuff, we're very rigid. And so in our recovery, we want to be flexible. So I ask myself in my own program, and I ask other clients, where am I rigid in my recovery, in my life? Where am I rigid? And when I see where that is, okay, I need structure. So there's some rigidity in structure, but where can I soften? Where can I make that structure a little bit more adaptable, a little more flexible? So you see, there's some nuance to this, but it's basically the same thing. It's building resilience in all levels of your life.
Yeah, and I would think that I've been also learning a lot about sleep and how important that is for your body, giving it time to heal itself. And I would think people who are hyper vigilant like that and whose nervous system is always so wound up, they actually never get that really deep, relaxing sleep where it heals your body.
There's that. And that's also people that coming off of benzodiazepines, which is an anti-anxiety medicine, that really fragments the sleep. So it took me about 5 years to get my sleep pattern back after I got got that all cleared out of my system in about 12 days in detox. But it took about 5 years for my nervous system to reset. And I did all kinds of beautiful practices to help nourish that process. And it still took a while. So you're right. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and my whole nervous system was on red alert. And I was just like, what is this? And it was just the nervous system going, hey, this is not the way we do life. We do it this other way. So that habit in the nervous system was like just very unorganized. So it took a while to retrain it, but it's doable and it's much preferred. I ended up having just wild panic attacks on those benzos. So they end up, when you're on them long term, is they end up giving you the thing that you're taking them for. So I ended up getting like massive anxiety, which was really caused by the benzos, which is why I took them in the first place, was because my anxiety, the pain I was having. Lots of things unbalanced. You can see how unbalancing the pain experience can be. The other thing that we get, you talk about the habits that this is how the normality, what's normal. This is the chronic pain being the normal. What was the challenge for us in healing from chronic pain is allowing joy in. Because this isn't normal, right? Joy is not normal. Joy is our regular state, but we've got so much conditioning around, because of our experience, around life is hard. This is the way life is. When joy comes around, it's And so we have to be very careful about introducing play in as a reservoir. I introduce play as a regular, when you're designing your day, what is the play going to look like?
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. So that the nervous system gets a chance to learn something new.
Yeah, and relax.
It gets comfortable. Yes. And feels safe. Because in chronic pain, we're not feeling safe. And in play, you've got this, you really, play is this delightful place where safety is the thing. So
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So tell me a little bit without disclosing any names, obviously, but tell me about maybe somebody that you worked with, how they went from this anxiety, this chronic pain to a better life of play.
sure, that happens a lot, but the one that's coming in the most, one of the things that I do as part of my recovery coaching is a betrayal trauma recovery coach. That's it's a specialty within addiction, betrayal trauma recovery coach. And I had a client who was dealing with the betrayal experience and she was healing from that. And I gave her a mantra. I'm a yoga teacher. And so chanting is part of using the voice and vibrating sound is the yoga of sound is part of healing. And so she's doing the kind of the regular work around betrayal. Dr. Debbie Silver has a whole platform called the the Post Betrayal Transformation Institute. And I'm a coach there. And there's probably 10 other coaches on the platform. And I bring in trauma informed yoga and I bring in addiction recovery coaching and I bring in ancestral clearing into that space. This woman was doing work around her betrayal, healing from the betrayal experience. And there's 5 different stages that are predictable, known stages that you go through as you heal from betrayal. And so I bring in let's work with the nervous system stuff. And so she came in very activated and dysregulated. And I gave her this mantra to do on a regular 11 minutes. Well, it's probably about 15 minutes every day. And as a meditation practice as part of her work. And it was so interesting because she did the work. She did the practice every day. And she came back to Debbie, she, who runs the place, Dr. Debbie Silver. And she said, oh my God, that mantra was amazing. And it completely, what it did was it helped her move forward into her life out of that stuckness that we can get into. Oh, I'm so guilty, or I'm bad, or I'm shamed. I feel full of shame, or whatever the thing is that we have it. And when we get traumatized like that, it helped her move through that. And she got on the other side of it and she started her own business. And it was really cool to watch her go through all 5 stages of healing from betrayal. And her comment was that the mantra was the thing. Wow. It was really interesting. So
Yeah.
I know what it's done for me. It's a very specific mantra, which helps clear. Remember, we talked about the negative mind in chronic pain. This is a very specific mantra that helps us clear that negativity. And as a scientist, I gotta tell you, when I'm practicing and I all of a sudden, from time to time, even now, a negative belief or something will come in and start bugging me. And I'll sit down and I'll do that mantra. And all I have to do is do the mantra. I don't have to figure out how it's working, or I don't have to get intellectual about it. I just do the work. And I can't explain to you what's happening and as far as in the brain and stuff as a scientist. But you know what? I can feel that negativity just.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
That sounds.
Yeah. So that's an example.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. I love that she started her own business. I'll bet she's helping other people recover. Is that right?
I hope so. I'm not sure what her business is, but she's happy and she's on purpose, right? And that's to get her life back.
That's amazing. Oh, I love that. I'm so grateful for people like you helping people like that. So how can people reach out to you if they want to get a hold of you, if they want your help?
Oh my goodness. Yes. You can find me at my website, which is Elizabeth with a hyphen Kipp, KIP.com. You got to put the hyphen in there. in order to find me. Otherwise, if you don't, you'll find Elizabeth Kipp, the photographer and web designer, who's amazing, but she's not me. So put the hyphen in there and you can find me. There's lots of free information on the website. You can book a session through there. You can do a free introductory session. And I have my social media contacts are up. Links are there. Just come on and you can contact me through there, and happy to connect.
I have one last question. What is one tip that you can give to make the world a better place?
I would say to remember, and I always like to end with this, that the greatest healer in your life is within you. So doctor can set a bone or stitch up a wound, but the doctor can't tell the body how to heal. Only the body knows how to do that. So in the healing space, orient yourself within. Yes, doctors, healers, coaches, all of them, all the healthcare workers will guide you to the optimal conditions for your healing. It's up to you to implement them. And then it's up to them. Then we got to get out of the way and just let the body heal.
I love that. That's beautiful. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining me today. I've learned so much and I'm ready to go back and try my own relaxing nervous system practice. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Thanks for joining us today on Business Mastery Podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this episode and you are ready to leverage video marketing on all online platforms, or maybe even start your own video podcast, then you need to check out the Done For You and Done With You program at themarketingvaadvantage.com.